Yo, this your boy EC22, and this is the Fairweather Fan Channel, man. Please like, subscribe, share, leave comments, all the above. But what I want you to do is I want you to join this conversation. That's what I want you to do. I want you to get involved, leave your feedback so we can go back and forth. And and I will try, and I would love to run this conversation back if you mean you don't agree. But let's go ahead and get it. Before we dive into the topic today, y'all, I was on the phone and having a deep conversation with the owner of this podcast, Eric Curtis, EC22. And we collectively decided that this is going to be a place and a hub for all things WNBA basketball. We talk about a lot of different genres, but this, but most of our conversations are random. Obviously during football season, we cover football, whatever. But why not? Why not? Why not make this a place to where you can get more of your WNBA opinions in the media and up to dates, whatever that's going on. And that's where it's going to be. That's where it's going to be. As much as I can get on here and do video, I will do my best to make sure this can be a place, at least give you an introduction to women basketball or women's professional basketball. And you go out there and do what you want the information. But we're here. So with that being said, all out the way, in most genres of sports, there's always a conversation about who is the best of the best to do it in that particular genre. And that conversation is always intriguing. It's always informative, in my opinion, but oftentimes it can get a little nasty, if you know what I mean. It can get a little testy. Because if you don't like the person that somebody else liked, then ooh-wee, that's when shots get fired. I don't know if they're going to ban me for making a shot noise. I don't know. But anyway, but seriously, no. And yes, I will eventually get into that who's the GOAT conversation. But this particular video is not about highlighting who's the best, right? It's all about putting respect on some of these women's names. And I think, and that's a lot of them. That's a lot of them. But I singled out these particular women because I think during the time they approached the WNBA, they made a lot of impact, you know what I'm saying, on women's basketball. And I know we see modern times and stuff like that. And all this kind of got started, in my opinion, because when Caitlin Clark came to the WNBA, and all of a sudden I'm hearing stuff like, oh, she's the greatest WNBA player ever. And this before she ever touched the WNBA hardwood. I'm like, okay, you can say she's a good basketball player, but she's the greatest WNBA player, and she haven't even touched the hardwood. No, you can't say that. Now, do I believe that she has the potential to be later on in her career? Yes. If she keep the momentum going and continue to do what she do, obviously. I give grace to those people because I understand the evolution of the sport. Go back and watch film. The sport is played differently and better now because of natural evolution, and I get it. Same way with basketball. You still got Hall of Famers who was playing in the 50s and the 60s, but the play and the style of play is different for what it is right now. But we don't use genre of the basketball to suggest that one is better than the other, to each his own. And if you want to use that to defend your genre, that's fine. But we can't sit back and say that LeBron James will kill a Bob McAdoo. You can say it, but why? All right. So anyway, throwing it out there. So I'm going to just give a top 10 of women of WNBA players I think that made a great impact. And there's no random order. It's all random order. It's not about who's first, name get called out first, who name get called out second. I'm going to try to do my best. But it's all about putting respect on the name, right? So you heard me talk. Eric, go ahead and get with it. I'm getting with it. Here we go to dive into the conversation. But before we go to the WNBA, I want to talk about two women who did not make it to WNBA because it wasn't available at that time. But I think they have a vital part and shine a huge light on women's basketball as a whole. First person we're going to talk about is Lusia Harris. If you don't know, let me introduce you to Lusia Harris. Listen, from 1975, 1977, Delta College, she led them to 3 consecutive national championships. During that 3-year period, man, listen, the whole world knew who she was. 1976, they finally bring the women's basketball to the Olympics. And who scored the first basket in the first game of women's basketball in the women's basketball in the Olympics? Yours truly, Lusia Harris. Set up perfect for her to do so. That's a lot of accolades that she did. Like I say, the world knew who she was during that time, right? 1977, end of her college career. She is the first and only woman to be officially drafted into the NBA. Yes, you heard it. Lusia Harris was that woman who got officially drafted in the NBA because she was just that was just that much attention that was on her. However, she didn't play. She declined the offer to go practice with the team. She was drafted by, at that time, the New Orleans Jazz in 1977, and she turned it down to go start a family. And she played 1 year in a professional women league at that time. She played for the Houston Angels, but then that's where her basketball career ended. And we can't let her die. Put some respect on her name. In 1992, I believe she was the first African-American woman to be inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Facts. That's who she is. Rest in peace to Lusia Harris, who passed away in 2022. I believe she was 62 in that time frame, whatever. But Shaquille O'Neal, along with Stephen Curry and some other great writers and producers, got together to do this little short film or wherever it was called The Queen of Basketball. And it was about the life and the legacy of Lusia Harris. That piece of work went on to win Academy Award for that film. Lusia Harris puts respect on her name, y'all. I'm just throwing that there. The next one on the list is Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller is alive and well, but let me tell you something right there, y'all. If you just go back and pull up some footage of her days at USC, ooh-wee, Cheryl Miller was the bomb.com, .org, .net, .whatever, .women's basketball, if you want to put that on there. You haven't seen a phenomenal hooper like her. Injury kept her from going overseas to play pros or playing professionally. But then even after getting injured, she didn't walk away from the game. She took up coaching and doing all she could to keep women basketball growing. Anywhere she can give out her 2 cents and help a young lady, she took that opportunity. And let's talk about just her brother, her little brother, Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller said in the podcast, All the Smoke podcast, said there will be no Reggie Miller without a Cheryl Miller. Most guys get in there and try to outdo their teammates, try to win a spot on the basketball. And of course, Reggie probably did that too. But at the end of the day, he said, man, him trying to have better stats than his sister was always the driving force. He tells a story like he came home, he had a real heck of a game. Like he had maybe like 30-some points, which is a great game. But she turned around and had like 100. He often talked about how she's the better shooter. He would get in the backyard or wherever they do, and she would beat him in shooting. And we're talking about Reggie Miller, top 3 of the greatest NBA shooters that we've ever seen in our life, between him, Ray Allen, and Steph Curry. And it's not even arguably they are on the top of the mountain. Okay? So I'm just throwing it out there. So that's Cheryl Miller. But Cheryl Miller, we see Lusia Harris did not make the WNBA. So now we're going to the WNBA, and I have to start it out, in my opinion, what I believe is just one of the greatest pioneers of showing America the product they're getting out of WNBA and women's professional basketball. And that's none other than Cynthia Cooper. You knew that name was coming because I talk about her a lot. I'm bringing up Cynthia Cooper once again. I'm not going to stop bringing up Coop because Coop can ball. 4 years, Houston Comets. When they started this thing, 4 years straight, they was dominating. And y'all, they had some great WNBA players in doing those 4 years, but Houston had it right. So they was out there. Cynthia Cooper is a baller. Pull up her film. She's cold. She played with Cheryl Miller at UFC. Unfortunately, Cheryl got hurt. She didn't. She went on. Played overseas. And then when the WNBA started to come on to bring these women back, she came back. She was 30, in her 30s, mid-30s. Balling. Still balling. Still winning MVPs. An all-star selection and 4 chips in a row. Who with them young gals, showing them, letting you know, hey, I was here first. Now, the next 3 I'm going to kind of swoop together because going back to those days in 1996, when you hear the We Got Next campaign, that was the campaign for the WNBA season, right? We Got Next. And hearing that campaign, there was names that was thrown around, right, to get us all excited. Rebecca Lobo, Sheryl Swoopes, as well as Aliza Leslie. Those are names they were throwing around. And as a kid at that time, you know, we was big into tall tales, you know, things that people would say. And I just remember hearing the tall tales about, you know, we don't always say people's first name because everybody got a nickname. So I didn't know her name was Rebecca till later on. But we just heard about this Lobo. Lobo, man, that Lobo boy, that Lobo can shoot. She can shoot me anywhere. She can shoot anybody. That was a tall tale, man. She could shoot, right? Then you talk about Lisa Leslie. Man, Lisa Leslie be dunking on dudes. That's all we know. I ain't never seen her play at the time as a kid, but this is the noise we hearing. That's how much movement they're making, right? Even with us watching in the prime of Jordan's career, you still hear these echoes of these three women. Man, Lisa Leslie be dunking on dudes. And then here comes Swoop. Man, hey, man. Swoop was so cold, man. I heard she beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. Like, these are tall tales as kids we was hearing about these women. Didn't know anything about women's basketball at that time. I'm sorry. But for some reason, somehow, these names were echoed into our, and we repeated it. So for me, I was excited in 96 and when they introduced that we're bringing women's professional basketball. I was excited and I watched it. Let me tell you, Rebecca Lobo game did not disappoint. Sheryl Swoopes game did not disappoint. Lisa Leslie game did not disappoint, and many others. Okay? And I just said we got to put some respect on their name. All right? Now you got Diana Taurasi. Listen, what can I say? Anybody coming out of UConn, you're going to be cold-blooded. That's what that is. But no, you got Diana T, man. It's like, just recently retired, man, and everything she's done. WNBA points leader, man. 20 years at one team, man. Everything she blood, sweat, and tears, man. She left on the hardwood. Man, I believe there was a time, and I still believe that she was the most feared woman in basketball. Like, she just had no care and concern. Like, she just reckless abandonment would just get on the court. And once she got between those lines, man, it was over with. She hooped. You know all her accolades, winning 2 chips and stuff like that, and being an all-star and all that stuff like that. Olympian, definitely in the Hall of Fame. She paved the way to a lot of young girls. All right. And then you talk about Maya Moore. Now listen, you don't have a Maya Moore without a Diana Taurasi, because Maya Moore also you went to UConn. And it was just a few years later. They're just a few years in between each other. So it's safe to say that maybe Maya Moore was looking at Diana Taurasi at UConn and said, I want to go to that school. Could be, I don't know, I ain't talked to Maya Moore. But what she did when she came into the game is took the WNBA by storm with the Minnesota Lynx, winning them 4 chips. Wasn't consecutive like the Houston Rockets, but they built their own little mini dynasty. Maya Moore was probably next to Diana Taurasi was those you talking about prolific scorers, women who made it look easy. Maya Moore was her. Put some respect on her name. Now we're going to talk about a Tamika Catchings. Man, listen, all due respect to Caitlin Clark, and I love her game, but at the end of the day, she's not the first Indiana Fever player that was ruling the WNBA. Tamika Catchings brought all the spotlight and attention to the Indiana Fever, winning them a championship. That's what Tamika Catchings did. She did it all while having a hearing problem. When she was a little girl, it was reported that she took a hearing aid to throw them out because she was born, partially deaf in one of the ears, and she took a hearing aid to throw it out. And her parents said, you know what, we don't want you to be handicapped, so you're going to learn to live without it. You're going to make do. And it wasn't until she got to the court of Tennessee under our beloved Pat Summitt, RIP, where Pat Summitt said, no, well, you made it this far, but you need to put some hearing aids in. And I don't know, because Pat Summitt wanted to make sure she heard it loud and clearly, using that excuse. I don't know. You got to love Pat. I'm pretty sure that conversation came up. But Pat convinced her to put her hearing aids back in. And, I don't know if that decision made her a superstar, but, man, Tamika Catchings, man, was her. Once again, one of those players that made hooping look easy. The next on the list is our girl, Candace Parker. Just like I said about Maya Moore and Diana Taurasi, you don't have a Candace Parker without Tamika Catchings. By way of Tennessee, Pat Summitt. We all know Candace Parker. So now we're getting closer to home. You all know Candace Parker and what she brought to the game, winning chips with multiple teams, the work she does with Warner, TNT. We know she's the baller. But once again, you got to put respect, because I think people forget. But I'm not going to let you damper the work that Candace Parker and others have done. So now we're down to 2. So let me go the dominant post player route on these last 2. So I cannot, with good conscience, leave Lauren Jackson off this list. Listen, if you're talking about dominance, you're talking about people like Sylvia Fowles, who deserves a mention on the list as far as dominance. You're talking about people like Rebecca Bronson, who can just be deserved to be on the list. And I totally 100% get it. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, Lauren Jackson, showed us the combo nature of a big woman who can shoot threes, play post. You talking about a stretch 5. Brittany Griner have dominance, but Brittany Griner couldn't do what Lauren Jackson do. Brittany Griner was big, and her and Lauren Jackson had some battles, and I remember those days. But at the end of the day, man, you got to put some respect on Lauren Jackson's name. Google her, whatever you got to do. Man, world player, love her. Love her, love her, love her, love her, love her. Love her game and what she's done for basketball. And like I say, we're going to have to put respect on her. We're not going to let that lady die. We're not going to do it. Now on the last one of the list, I kept trying to figure out, okay, who else can put on this list? Post players, centers, that scares me. That's the last. When you look at people like Sylvia Fowles and Rebecca Bronson, even Brittany Griner at times, those are some very, very scary looking women. Not in a disrespectful way. Come to them at the car, they beautiful smile, beautiful looking women. You know what I'm saying? They're who we are. But when they stand on a hardwood, there's a different animal that comes out. There's a different beast. There's a different competitive nature that comes out. That's scary. I think nobody embodies this more than Yolanda Griffith. OMG. Sacramento Monarchs brought them their first and only championship in a time period when you had a lot of different teams to compete with. We still had LA and all them other squads were running by herself. She didn't have much help on that squad. I mean, she had some good players, but she was the face of that organization. That's all we're here doing is put some respect on these women's name, because I don't like the idea that because we have a new person in the league, all of a sudden now that people say that she is the face of an organization or the best of the best, and there's no record of any greatness so far in her career as basketball, right? And this is not down in the player. That's why I'm not calling the name out, but you can guess what I'm talking about. No high school championships. No state championship in high school. No college championship. So there you have it. Y'all got to stop it. Love the young lady. I think she's going to do great. And maybe in a few years, maybe we can put her on that. But right now, don't disrespect our women. Lusia Harris, Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, Sheryl Swoopes, Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo, Dana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Tamika Catchings, Candace Parker, Lauren Jackson, and our girl, Yolanda Griffith. That's who we are. That's what we're talking about. This is your boy C22 covering WNBA, and I am out.